Praise the mighty name of Jesus. I know there's no one else like our God. There's no one like Jesus. There is no other name given among men whereby we must be saved. Oh my goodness, I can't wait for you to teach that to our church. He just found that out just now. That's a request. Man, that was really nice, man. Wow. Like, wow, I had to catch myself because I started getting into my old groove too. I was like, be in church. Oh, that was nice, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the church historically transition into these praise and worship songs that are so relevant to lifting and magnifying God. And it's just, it's a great thing to see. And to get to a point where singing outside of the book is not a sin anymore. That's a really wonderful transition. You ought to praise God for that. And we just thank God for progress that's within the realm of Scripture.
Amen.
And we thank God for that. And we hope and pray that our beloved brotherhood will embrace that all progress is not negative. And we're just thankful to God for David being a wonderful leader and being just, amen. It is one thing to have someone that can preach, but it's another thing to have a visionary. And those two are not always in the same sentence. And we just thank God for him being a visionary, and his work speaks for itself. And we thank God for you being a supportive church. And it's my prayer that you'll continue to lift up the hands of this Moses as he leads the people in this part of the vineyard. I want to quickly and expeditiously invite you to Romans chapter 6. And I'll begin reading in verse 1 and stop reading when I get finished. We'll just kind of see where it lands. But Romans 6 verse 1. It's a beautiful context. It's a familiar passage. But for some, not all, but for some, it's important to know that familiarity does not necessarily mean understanding. You can be familiar with the text. I've been familiar with a lot of verses. But it's another thing to understand them from the author's perspective. And so, Romans, the 6th chapter, we want to invite your attention to this pericope and hopefully extrapolate the exegetical idea. That all that means is I'm about to preach. It just sounds good the way I said it. I don't get to use big words all the time, so it just means I'm about to preach. It just sounds good that way. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Christ were baptized into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should no longer serve sin. Verse 7, for he that is dead is free from sin. Now if we be dead with Christ, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Christ, being raised from the dead, dieth no more. Death hath no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he liveth unto God. Likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield yourselves members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves as instruments of righteousness unto God. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under law, but under grace? God forbid. Know ye not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are, to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness. But God be thanked that you were the slaves of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you, being then made free from sin, you became the servants of righteousness. I have long realized that in studying a passage or a text or a book for that matter, when you study the New Testament, I told you already that these are occasional letters, which means they address a particular circumstance. However, it is also important to realize that all of the letters that we have are not written to sinners. All of them are written to saints. That being the case, when we begin to explore the context, we don't want to immediately and primarily apply passages to sinners that were meant for you. Now, the reason I bring that to the forefront and I bring that to our attention is because Romans 6 is one of those passages we go to and all we see in it is baptism. Yeah. But whatever it says about baptism, it does not say to the sinner. Okay, let me help you. It certainly has relevance to the sinner, but it's written to the saints, which means there's something that the saint should learn about baptism that relates to their Christian reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? In other words, since it's written to a saint, then the primary application must be to a saint, although it says something to the sinner. Are y'all following what I'm saying? So as we read the chapter, we then have to extrapolate from the author's perspective, what is he trying to convey to the Christian, since that's who he's writing to. All right. Having said that, in reading Romans chapter 6, as we dealt with sonship this whole week, the first Wednesday we dealt with the receiving of sonship. On Thursday, we dealt with the redemption in sonship. And tonight, I want to deal with the responsibility of sonship. Now, what I hope you've learned, and I hope that I've made it clear, is that if we talk about sonship, then first you must understand it as a blessing that's not earned. We've been repeating that ever since Wednesday. That means the status of sonship, the adoption, is a blessing that is done by God, received by the sinner when they get in Christ Jesus. All right? Having said that, we wanted to move to the next phase, and that's understand the redemption in my sonship, which means God allows me to become a son of God, separate and apart from my perfect performance. That means I am not a child of God because I'm so perfect. I'm not a son of God because I've walked perfectly according to God's demands. But I am a child of God, a son of God, because God has fixed it where I can come to him separate and apart from a legal system that requires perfect performance. So in Romans chapter 3, we made clear that the righteousness of God, separate and apart from law, has been made manifest. And that righteousness has been imputed to our account on the basis of the finished work of Jesus Christ. So I am not a son of God on the basis of my perfection, but because of the grace of God. And Romans chapter 4, where we ended yesterday, says Jesus redeemed us from the law, that is the Jews, that we, including Gentiles, can become adopted into the family of God. That means I don't come to God on the basis of law, but I come to him on the basis of grace, and I receive that grace when I obey the gospel of Jesus Christ. Is everybody clear about that? Having said that, God, when I become his child, wants me to act like I'm his child. And what I want you to see on today, that although God does not expect perfection from me, I'm going to show you in this context this interesting imagery that although God saves me by grace, he wants that grace to conform me to one who behaves in righteousness. Here's what I'm going to show you. God frees you from one slavery and puts you in another one. God never frees you from one master and not give you another one. What I'm going to show you tonight is that we move in the salvation process from slavery to slavery. Are y'all following that? All right. Now, this being the case, it's important to understand that although I'm saved by grace, grace is never a license to live like I'm a sinner. But grace teaches me to deny ungodliness and worldly lust. And that grace helps me to not only be saved, but to go through a process of transformation and behavioral reformation. Are y'all following what I'm saying? So we're moving from slavery to slavery. And there's a lot of people that do get in the body of Christ, get saved, but never make it around to being transformed. And we have to embrace that if I am a son of God, if I'm a child of God, then there is an expectation that my lifestyle goes through a reformation, that when people see me, they can say I'm acting like my big brother Jesus.
All right.
Are y'all following what I'm saying? And let me just drop this on you immediately to help you understand that it's hard to convert somebody to a Christ that hasn't changed you. Amen. One of the biggest selling points, quote unquote, to helping folk accept Christ is the lifestyle change that has happened in you. Sometimes it's not the spoken sermon that saves, but the living sermon that helps somebody say, I want to be introduced to the same God that saved you, because if he changed you, he can do something with me. Right. So we move from slavery to slavery. Paul anticipates in this letter. I love Romans because Romans is like Paul arguing with an opponent that hasn't raised an objection yet. But he anticipates what those objections might be in the reading of his letter. So what Paul does is he anticipates, as he deals with this doctrine of grace and this righteousness being imputed, Paul does something in chapter 5 where he mentions in 5:1 that we are being justified by faith. We have peace with God. And he goes on to indicate that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And he was the reconciliation that we have received, in which we're no longer enemies of God. And then he gives the antithesis between the first Adam and the second Adam. And he says that for by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and death spread to all men, for that all have sinned. But inasmuch as the first Adam introduced condemnation, the second Adam introduced justification. And justification became the answer to the condemnation. And then he says, where sin did abound, grace did much more. I love that verse. Did much more abound. Now here's what God did. How did, another translation, New American Standard says, where sin increased, grace did much more increase. Well, how did sin increase? When he says sin increased, when God gave law, codified law and Mosaic law, sin increased not in as much as there was more sin, but it increased in the sense that when God gave law, it was the awareness of sin. So he becomes conscious. The Jew becomes conscious to sin. And where sin did abound, grace did much more. Now, inasmuch as man recognizes his magnitude of sin, it is to that degree that he understands his magnitude for the need of grace. So where great sin did abound, grace did much more abound. Where sin increased, grace did much more increase. The Jew hearing that might interpret Paul to be saying, are you suggesting that I can sin as much as I want in order for grace to increase? Are you now endorsing Paul that I should keep on sinning so I can keep on getting more grace? This understanding was absolutely not what Paul had in his mind. So Paul anticipates the objection and he says, let me get to the answer before you ask the question. Shall we sin that grace may abound? And he says, God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin keep living in it? All right. Here's what I want to show you, church. Just stay with me. When Paul brings up, and a lot of times we run right to back. I got to stop saying us. I used to run. Wow. So nobody feel like I'm preaching to them. I used to run. I mean, when I saw Romans 6, I saw an argument. The essentiality of baptism. And it's good still. Don't get it twisted. It still works, praise Jesus. I'm just suggesting that for the church, there's a message in the text for you that was primarily for you. Paul is going to bring up baptism to argue something we really don't want to talk about. And that is, Paul assumes that when you got baptized, you also embrace the notion that a baptized person should embrace a transformed life. Now, it's right here in the text. The reason he brings up baptism is not so much to prove its essentiality, although it does that. But he brings it up to show the reason I don't practice sin is because in baptism I died to it. And I rose to walk in a different lifestyle. That's going to be why we're here. Now, rather than run right to verse 3 and 4, you have to interpret the entire chapter according to the rhetorical question that he brings up. Shall we sin that grace may abound? He says, God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Now, in the whole chapter, Paul's going to redundantly bring up this ugly word that the King James translates servant, but it should have been translated slave. When you were in sin, sin was your master, and you were a slave to sin. But God wanted to move you from slavery to sin to slavery to righteousness. Right. But God be thanked that you were the slave of sin, but you obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was in the Jew. Being then made free from sin, you became a slave of righteousness. Can we go through this a little while? Now, before we go through it, let's not act like you don't remember when sin was your master. Some of y'all looking like, I don't remember. Do you remember when sin was your master? When sin said jump, you said how high. Some of us were expert sinners. We sinned with style. Y'all not going to help me along. When you had no conscience. You sinned and you sinned well. You didn't show up to the party at 8. You waited till 12 to make your grand entrance. You're not going to help me along here. I mean, you will remember. Y'all following what I'm saying? You sinned and you sinned well. And but God wants you to transition now and say, inasmuch as you worked hard to sin, work that hard to be a slave of righteousness. Watch this. All right, let's just go through the text. It's right there. Shall we sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin keep living in it? All right, what do you mean live in sin? Live in sin simply means that I maintain a lifestyle in which sin rules. All right, now everybody sins, but God does not want you to live in sin. To live in sin means you live a lifestyle in which you embrace the rule of sin. You sin and have no conscience. You sin, never make your way around to godly sorrow. You live in it. It's your lifestyle. It's your norm. It's your habit. It's your practice. You embrace it as something that you're okay with. It's to live in sin. Are y'all following this? To live in it means I've embraced the lifestyle and habit of sin and feel no pain. Are y'all following? To live it. Living it is not that I sin one day, try hard, and I sin another day. Everybody goes through that. And if you say you have no sin, John said you're not even telling the truth. But what this text is talking about is a habitual lifestyle of living in sin, accepting sin as your master. What happened here? He says, I'm not telling y'all grace endorses the idea of keep sinning. How shall we keep living in sin if in your conversion you died to it? Can I talk about the word death? Whenever the writers of the Bible use the word death, definitionally, death always denotes the concept and the idea of two things separated. It never means annihilation. It doesn't mean something ceases to exist. It means two things went in two different directions. What is physical death? Physical death is the separation of the body and the spirit. Okay, what is spiritual death? It's the separation of God and man.
Right.
What is eternal death? It's the permanent separation of God from man. Are y'all seeing that? What is death to sin? It means me and sin separate. I'm about to show you in conversion. A whole lot of stuff happens in baptism. We highlight the remission of sin part. That's a good part. But in baptism, you get divorced, married, and crucified at the same time. It all happens. I do a sermon sometime called The Unseen Realities of Baptism. It's interesting how in baptism, in between the going down and the going up, I get divorced, married, crucified, all in one shot. Okay, watch this. He says, how some that are dead to sin? What does it mean to be dead to sin? To be dead to sin means me and sin have separated. It's an interesting concept. If you ever study death holistically, you'll find that if it means separation, Jesus uses three deaths in one verse in John 8:24. He says, if you die physical, in your sin, spiritual, where I go, you can't come, eternal. If you die physical, in your sin, spiritual, where I go, you can't come, eternal. Now here's the race of life. If you die physically before you're made alive spiritually, you will be dead eternally. Did y'all see that? And the only way you reverse that is to experience what I call a redemptive death. That's death to sin. Amen. Because I'm dead in sin. Yes. All right? Paul says, how shall we keep living in something we died to? Then he says, let me tell you when you died to. Know ye not? So many of us, as were baptized into union with Christ, were baptized into his. Okay, I gotta stay there. You were baptized into his. Okay. Baptism always takes you back to the cross. You are baptized into union, the benefits of his death. That's the cross. You are baptized into Christ, meaning you're baptized into his death, that means I unify with his death, receiving the benefits of that death, of his shedded blood. All right, I'm baptized into death, and then he says, therefore we are buried with him into death. That means I enter the state of death because I unified with his death. It's in his death that he shed his blood. So in baptism, the water doesn't save me. It's still the blood of Jesus that does the saving, because baptism just unifies me with the benefits of his death. I unify with him. Now, the reason I know that's right is because Romans chapter 6, verse 6, I'll get there, verse 5, excuse me, will say, inasmuch, King James says planted together. Better translation says we were united together in the likeness of his death. In other words, in baptism, you unify with Jesus. You unify with his death. It's a burial. We got that. But then he says, just as Christ was raised, even so we should walk. Now, we immediately go to life, but the word says walk. Okay, the word walk, my friends, ain't something to jump over. We immediately get to God gives us new life. Yeah, but he doesn't just give you new life. He gives you new life to walk in. Right. And the word walk always describes behavior. Do you see how the main focus here is not the essentiality of baptism? It is essential to salvation. Amen. But what Paul wants to argue in this context is that when you got baptized, you died to sin. You separated with sin, unified with Jesus, and now you should walk in newness of life. Inasmuch as Christ rose from the dead, your lifestyle should raise from the dead.
That's good, bro.
You walk in, y'all see this, in newness of life. Now, the question becomes, well, when I raise from the dead and I walk in newness of life, the idea is behavior, to walk in. Now, how did I walk before? Paul said in Ephesians chapter 2, you walked according to the course of this world. You were by nature the children of wrath. Now in the book of Romans, he's indicating in your baptism, you didn't just get saved, somebody should have got changed. I'm not saying overnight change, but I'm saying a submission to God, that now I'm going to mold my walk after righteousness, watch it, that he already put on my account. Now God says, I put righteousness on your account, now live according to what I gave you. And there's so many people in the Lord's church who believe that you can be a Christian, be a child of God, and be effective and still walk the way you used to walk. You will kill your influence. Your sonship won't be seen or witnessed because you're still living like your old daddy. But now you got to live according to your new daddy. And now you walk in newness of life. I moved from slavery to slavery. I have been free from the shackles of sin, and I've embraced now a new master. Are y'all seeing this? I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Watch it now. In verse number 6, knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him. Y'all see this? That the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should, here it is, not serve sin. That's going to be the redundant concept of the chapter. Don't serve sin. Don't serve sin. You're no longer a slave of sin. That becomes the essence of the entire chapter. It's a movement in my conversion from one slavery to another. Now listen. I'm in a fraternity called Phi Beta Sigma. For those who don't know what that is, it's a great fraternity. When I first got converted, can I be honest? I can talk to you, all right? And you're not going to tell nobody. When I first got converted, the hardest thing to do is to change habits that you've been doing for a long time. You know, I can be honest with me now. And when you, all right, can anybody admit that when you came out the water, you still struggled with? Okay, boy, you know, some Christians, boy, they've been baptized 2 days. Act like that. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been sanctified a long time now. Stop lying. See, that's why I don't like talking to folk who don't struggle. I need to talk to somebody who has struggled but came through the struggle. So that you can help me know that while I'm struggling now, I don't have to keep struggling in the same place. God help me through my struggle. I can't stand folk that ain't never sinned, ain't got no problem. How do you help me if you ain't never had no struggle? I can't celebrate your victory because you acting like you ain't never had to fight. Lying. Just in church lying. Singing all these good songs like you ain't never struggled. And some of y'all struggling while you singing the songs. Stop playing. I was at 2 or 3 folks stop playing up here. When I first got converted, all right, before I got converted, I was in a relationship. And in that relationship, we weren't living like Christians.
All right. Talk about it. Talk about it.
You know,
Yeah.
My daddy's best advice to me was, son, whatever you do, don't bring no babies. So certain things for me wasn't wrong. I just had to make sure. All right, what, anybody know that? Let's go. So I engaged in activities.
Yeah.
For a long time. Because in my house it wasn't wrong. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm sorry. I can tell I brought up the wrong subject. So in my house, it wasn't wrong to
Right. We understand.
my dad was very clear. He told me what not to do, and when he told me what not to do, he left an opening for what I could do. Just make sure this right here don't happen. Y'all listening to me? I had an older brother who taught me all kind of stuff at a young age. Then I meet Jesus. Go down in the water, come up out the water. I'm a son of God. Happy, joyful. Go home. Same girlfriend I had before I went down in the water. I gave my life to Jesus. Man, it was great. Wonderful. She said, that's great. So, ready to go upstairs? I got a deal now with something I've been doing for a long time. That's been my master.
Right.
That I had no conscience in doing. Now that I have been saved, I gotta change my walk. And that's not always easy. And what kills me in the church is when older members
Come on now.
act like they ain't never. You used to wear mini skirts too.
Tell it.
You wore cat suits with the big afros.
Yeah.
And then see a young girl in the church that may dress promiscuous, and you start killing her like you ain't ever.
Right.
Habits are hard to change. And when you become a Christian, there is a transformation that challenges you.
Teach, sir.
That is not always easy.
Yeah.
If you was getting drunk before you went down in the water,
Right.
chances are you still gonna struggle with the appetite and the desire. And somebody's gonna help you. God's grace and his mercy and his word have to renew your thinking. So when you're moving from slavery to slavery, there is a mental agony that can be difficult. God expects change, but we've got to realize the struggle to change. Now, how do I do it? Hey, here's how you do it. 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 Watch this. Here's how you do it. Look at verse 7. I'll read from verse 7. For he that is dead is free from sin. Now, if we be dead with Christ, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Christ being raised from the dead dieth no more. Death hath no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once. But in that he liveth unto God. Now, when he says he liveth unto God, he's going to compare that. Watch the next phrase. Likewise, reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Now, this is where these are imperatives. Watch the next one. Let not sin reign. Don't let sin rule. The fact that it's an imperative means it's something you got to do. And the only way it's going to happen, I don't want to leave chapter 6, but chapter 8 is going to talk about the work of the Holy Spirit and the work of the Word of God. But you have to understand, when you're reading these passages, they are imperatives. He's telling the church, let not sin reign. Consider yourself dead. That word consider means, it's a mathematical term that means to reckon yourself dead to sin. Consider that you have been dead to sin, meaning you and sin have separated. Now, the only way you're going to get to a point where you can change your lifestyle is you have to embrace mentally, not only that you died to sin, but you got to consider yourself dead to sin.
Yes.
Reckon yourself dead. Then he says, yield not your body or members instruments of unrighteousness. The imperatives indicate that this is something you have to make a conscious decision to do. How do I do it? Listen, you have to hate what killed Jesus. Listen, you have to hate what killed Jesus. You have to hate and detest that your sin is what put him on the cross. The grace of God appeared to all men, teaching us to deny ungodliness. Wait a minute. God's grace teaches us to deny ungodliness. God's grace teaches us to deny ungodliness. What in the world? How did God's grace teach me to deny ungodliness? The grace of God appeared to all men. Jesus dying on the cross was the epitome of grace. And all of my ungodliness was placed on him. And you have to get to a place in your life where you hate what killed Jesus. The more I hate what killed Jesus, the more I avoid what killed Jesus. You follow what I'm saying? Because Romans 6 says, let not sin reign. You are dead to sin. Reckon yourselves dead to sin. You used to be a slave of righteousness. Now you are a slave of sin. Now you are a slave of righteousness. Well, mentally, how do I embrace this? What does grace do? It teaches me to deny ungodliness. How does it teach it? It put Jesus on the cross. And when you watch him die, when you watch them take 6-inch nails and put it in the base of his hand, and you watch them drive the nail into his feet, and even when you watch Jesus get whipped with whips that had bone fragments, so that when the whip hit the body, it latched to the flesh, and when you watch Jesus get lacerated And when you watch Jesus hang in an asphyxiated position where he cannot even breathe, and in order to breathe, he's got to push up on the nail in his foot, pull on the nails in his hand, all to just... And when you watch that, it ought to make you detest everything you did to put him on the cross. Listen, I'm ending right here. God made you a slave of righteousness, but to embrace the righteousness, mentally embrace the picture of Jesus' death. And it helps you to say no to the stuff that's got you entangled. Are y'all following what I'm saying? Not letting sin reign doesn't mean that you ain't never gonna sin. It means you gonna tell sin, you ain't my master, and I will not fashion my lifestyle according to my appetites. You might win some battles, but you ain't gonna win my life.
Right.
Are y'all following what I'm saying? And if you're here today, if you're here, I'm closing, if you're here, Romans 6, baptism should be the thing you remember where you made your transition from a slave of sin to a slave of righteousness. Baptism wasn't something you did yesterday and you should forget about. Paul is talking to the church in Rome who already been baptized, yet he brings up baptism to say, here's why you shouldn't practice sin. Why shouldn't I practice it? Didn't you know that so many of us that were baptized into Christ were baptized into his death? Don't you understand? In baptism, you rose to walk in new life.
Right.
And if you're living in sin, you have forgotten your birthday. You forgot the transition you made. In baptism, Paul is saying, I'm not endorsing sinful lifestyle, because it's in baptism that we made the transition from slave of sin to a slave of righteousness. If you're here tonight, if you are really a son of God, if you've been baptized, and you may be struggling. I say that and some people hide. Look, all of us struggle. Sometimes at home, I'll admit I'm struggling. Y'all didn't like it. Y'all didn't like that, did you? If anybody ought to be prayed for as a man of God, sometimes I have to admit my struggle. And when I'm struggling, I've learned to remember two things: my baptism and the cross. And that tells me, Heyward, you are better than this. And you're saying, put him on the cross. You say, hey, what that did. And it should help you live in newness. Now, when somebody says to you, man, I see that you're a Christian and you don't do a lot of stuff that I'm doing, man. What helped you? I met a man named Jesus. And I didn't get better overnight. He saved me in one shot, but he also transformed me. And the way I got better is that I don't like the fact that I put him on that cross with my sin. And what helps me hate sin is that somebody had to die for it. Y'all follow what I'm saying? If you're here today, I want you, if you need prayer, I don't know who needs prayer today. Sometimes when we do preaching like this, particularly on sin and lifestyle, don't nobody want to admit they struggle. But tonight is a revival night. It's a revival night. It's a night to say, I'm a son of God, but I ain't been acting like it. And I've been struggling. And I want to embrace my transition. That I'm no longer a slave of sin, but I'm a slave of righteousness. Let's all stand together. Let's not sing yet. Let's just stand. God, if you're in this place, and I don't know where you are, who you are, this is a place to be honest with where you are. I hope it is. That everybody in this place at one time or another has dealt with this struggle, and some still do. Romans 6 challenges us to embrace a new concept of grace. And it's a grace that says, I've taught you to deny ungodliness. It's a grace that says, what I have endorsed is new lifestyle. It's a grace that says, don't just be saved, be sanctified. Be set apart to a new life. And no matter how much you try, you cannot get around God's desire for his people to be holy. And I've heard the story a million times about how Jesus, I've heard the story about goldsmiths and how the more they put that gold in the fire, it burns the impurities. That's true. But ultimately, what all those illustrations amount to is that when people see you, they shouldn't see you. They should see Jesus. That's who they're supposed to see. Not just in your word, but in the sum total of how I live. You follow that? That the same stuff that make you cuss don't make me cuss no more. I wish I had 2 or 3 honest people. That when I'm laid off my job and 6 people get laid off and you're the only one that's a Christian in the 6, they start looking at you wondering why you're not tripping out. You need to tell them, because I know somebody that's got this under control. Right. I don't have to lose my mind and act out of character. All I've got to do is do what God says and allow him to take care of the rest. Yes. You know, following me? When you come back on Sunday, I'm going to preach a sermon called An Intoxicated Christian with a Permanent Hangover. That's Sunday. Crescendo Sunday. And it's going to be a more with what I'm saying, but an intoxicated Christian with a permanent hangover. And I want you to come back. If there's somebody that needs prayer, I want you to come forward. Is anybody in here that's saying, I'm the one that needs prayer? I need God to help me in this transition. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to live a holy lifestyle. I'm no longer a slave of sin. I'm a slave of righteousness. But I need help in making this mental transition to help me sin less. Is there anybody that wants to do this? As together we now sing the song of invitation. You can come and get prayer.
Show me the way. The way.
Don't look at nobody else. You come. You come. If you know you need this prayer, you come.
Show me the way. Lord, I am down here, Lord, and I need your power. Lord, show me the way. Oh, Lord, won't you show me the way, Lord, show me the way, because I am down here, Lord, and I need your power. Show me the way we're singing, Lord, I said I am your child, I'm your child, Lord, I said I'm your child. show me the way. Won't you show me the way, oh Lord, please show me the way. Show me the way, because I'm down here, Lord, and I need your power. Lord, show me the way. Say, Lord, I'm your child, singing, Lord, I'm your child. I'm your child, oh Lord, say I'm your child. Yeah, I'm standing in the need of prayer right now, and I'm down here, Lord. Lord, I need your power, little bit of your power, Lord. Show me, please show me the way. Said that I am down here, Lord, and I need your power. Show me, please show me the way. Say I am down here, Lord, and I need your power. Show me, please show me the way. Say it again, I'm down here, Lord. Say that I am down here, Lord, and I need your power. Please show me, please show me